If you've ever dreamt about swimming in warm turquoise water surrounded by dramatic limestone cliffs and watching colorful reef life, then Phi Phi Islands is for you. Hello everybody, my name is Lou and I'm a certified freediver and scuba diver living in Melbourne. I recently went on holidays to Phi Phi Islands in Thailand, so I thought I'd create a video to show you where the best snorkeling spots are, including where to spot reef sharks as well as bioluminescence at night. I'll also share practical tips about how to avoid crowds, where to stay, and why Phi Phi Islands is an excellent place to try scuba diving as well. Let's get into it! First and foremost, let's talk a little bit about Phi Phi Islands. The Phi Phi Islands are a small archipelago in southern Thailand, located between Phuket and Krabi in the Andaman Sea. It's composed of two main islands, Phi Phi Don and Phi Phi Ley. Phi Phi Don is the only inhabited island, and that's where all the accommodation options are, whereas Phi Phi Ley is part of a national park, so you can visit, but you can't stay there. What makes Phi Phi special is a combination of shallow, very clear water, vibrant coral reefs, and very dramatic limestone cliffs, giving you a very awe-striking scenery to immerse yourself in. It's actually been made famous by the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio, which is to blame for the crowds that you see at Phi Phi Ley. But the other great thing about Phi Phi, for us at least, is that it's great for snorkeling, particularly for beginners. You don't need a boat to get a lot of these locations, you can go straight from the beach. And as I said, given that the water's warm, you don't need a wetsuit or weights or anything. It's pretty hassle-free place to go snorkeling for the first time. So, where should you go snorkeling while at Phi Phi Islands? The first place that I want to talk about is called Shark Point. Shark Point is located at the southernmost tip of Phi Phi Don Island, and it's hands down one of the most exciting places to snorkel in the island. Now, don't be scared. Yes, there are sharks in Shark Point, it's called that for a reason, but they're not bull sharks or tiger sharks or any of the dangerous kinds that people tend to run away from. The sharks that you'll be able to see here are actually blacktip reef sharks, which are quite harmless and they're not very big either, so they won't scare you while you're swimming. Shark Point is an excellent place to look at these sharks and have a friendly encounter with them. And it's actually quite accessible from the beach. So to get to Shark Point, you actually walk from Tonsai Beach down to the southernmost tip of the island. You can do this either walking, it's about an hour away walking, and it's an easy path right along the beach to get there. The closest beach is called Long Beach, or you can also get there by longtail boat, which will take you straight to Long Beach and ask them to drop you off there. Once you get to Long Beach, there is a rock that you'll see there that's about maybe 100 meters away from the beach, and you can swim from the beach to the rock, and around this rock is where you're more likely to see sharks. Now, the only downside to Shark Point is that there is not a lot of coral life, given that it's not a coral reef, it's more of a rock with some growth in it. So you won't see the vibrant colors that you would see in other of the snorkeling spots that I will talk about in this video. But the sharks are definitely something to experience. One thing I would say for Shark Point though, even though it's quite shallow and easy to get to, I would recommend going there in slack tide. You can check tide times for Phi Phi Islands in wisuki.com. Because with an outgoing tide, you could get some current along the rock that might pull you out into sea, and you don't want that. So go on slack tide for a safer bet. The other tip for this site is try to go either early in the morning or in the late afternoon, early evening, as those are the times where you're most likely to see sharks. If you go smack down in the middle of the day, there's a lot of boats and a lot of noise, and the sharks will just go away. The second site I'd recommend you check out for snorkeling is actually Maya Bay. So as I mentioned, Maya Bay is the location where the film The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio was filmed, which has made it world famous as one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Now, you would think this could be a good thing, but it's actually one of the prime examples of what over-tourism can do to a destination. Sadly, because so many people have wanted to go to this beach and have been taken to this beach, Maya Bay was actually closed to tourists for quite a long time, because the amount of people in this beach had actually destroyed the ecosystem there, which is highly concerning because it turns out Maya Beach is actually a place where sharks go lay eggs and then baby sharks are nursed. So imagine all of this feet trampling the shark eggs and the shark nursery, making it quite chaotic. It had actually affected the shark populations in the area. So the Thai government actually closed Maya Beach to tourists for a few years. Now it's open again to tourism, but you cannot swim in Maya Beach. You can only go down and take a picture on the beach and head out. I must say I was quite overwhelmed when I went to Maya Beach. The way you get there is you dock in Phi Ley Lagoon, which is on the opposite side. The boats drop you off there, and even when you get there, you can see an unreasonable amount of boats docking into Phi Ley Lagoon. You walk a few meters, and then you get to Maya Beach. I honestly lost count of the amount of people that I saw. It was so hard to get a picture without anyone in it. And it was quite sad because you could also see, like, you know, Thai people, the locals, just with a megaphone repeatedly asking people not to go into the water because people kept just like going even knee deep to take a picture on the beautiful beach. Don't be that person, please. Just follow the instructions and get out of the way. And honestly, while Maya Beach is beautiful, is it the most beautiful beach in the world? Yeah, I don't know. If you go there, but just bear in mind the crowds. Behave nicely. You will have to pay a 400 baht fee to go into the national park if you want to go into the beach, which to me is fine because then you know that money is actually hopefully going to conservation. But then be mindful of the crowds. And for example, for me, I went in, I saw the beach, and then it took me 25 minutes to get out of there because there was a long queue to get back onto the boats. So be mentally prepared for this. If you want to go to Maya Beach, a suggestion would be to go again early morning to avoid the crowds, something I did not do. But yeah, have this in mind. Now, why am I saying all of these things when this is a snorkeling video? Well, while you can't snorkel on Maya Beach itself, what you can do with the local longtail boats is you can snorkel on the edges of Maya Beach. So the longtail boat that I went with took me to, like the kind of like border of Maya Beach. And what's beautiful about this site is that because Maya Beach is a shark nursery, there's a high chance for you to see baby sharks. Once again, these are blacktip reef sharks, so they're super cute, they're totally harmless, and it's just so wonderful to swim around with them. Other things that you will get to see in Maya Bay are squids, a lot of parrotfish, pufferfish, a little very cute fish called the Indo-Pacific Sergeant Mayer, which is just everywhere. And you'll also get to see some jellyfish. The third place I recommend you visit while snorkeling in Phi Phi Islands are actually two places, and they are Laem Tong Beach and the House Reef. So these two places are located in Phi Phi Don Island, so very close to your accommodation, potentially. And they're on the eastern side of the island. They're actually smack front of a lot of the hotels that are in that side of the island, so it makes them quite accessible. You can literally walk on the beach and go into these places. There's a lot of vibrant coral gardens around this place, and you'll get to see a lot of fish life. So again, a lot of parrotfish and a lot of like banks of small fish, which just looks stunning against the light that comes on top. I also got to see a beautiful cuttlefish, which unfortunately I couldn't take a picture of, but he was just so beautiful. Saw some trumpetfish as well. You do get to see some barracuda here as well. And it's just, like, in all honesty, other than sharks, which I absolutely adore, this was probably the place where I saw most fish while in Phi Phi and most color. Phi Phi has also these giant clams that are just psychedelic in their color, and they're huge, and it's beautiful. I highly recommend these two places. Now, the one thing to be mindful of while in Phi Phi in general is there's a lot of boat traffic. You have essentially two means of transport, and they're longtail boats and speedboats, and that's it. And because there's no roads per se within Phi Phi Don, all the transport is by boat. So wherever you need to get to, you'll have to take a boat. And a lot of the snorkeling places are actually not designated, so you do have to be mindful of boat traffic. And this was very evident to me while snorkeling in these places. Fortunately, Laem Tong actually being in front of resorts, like, you do have a designated swimming area, so I was able to check a part of that reef while in one of those designated areas and not worry about boats. But then to visit House Reef, I swam out from Phi Phi Hotel, and just be mindful of boats, essentially. With House Reef, I would recommend you waiting for low tide to check it out. the beach literally disappears in low tide, which is great because that way you don't have to swim for miles to get to the reef. You actually just walk all the way out and then voila, you're at the reef. And once again, it's less risky with boat traffic because boats are not getting that close at that time of day. So wait for low tide and experience the beauty of House Reef. Now, if the wind is coming from the east, making these two sites bad in terms of conditions, you could also visit the fourth site, which is Nongasem, which is on the west side of the island. This is also a great site that is beautiful, also vibrant coral reef gardens. I saw anemone fish there, which were beautiful. Again, the giant clams, also a very beautiful site to look at. So if the wind is coming from the east, I'd highly recommend Nongasem as another quiet and very nice place to look at. And last but not least, the fifth place I recommend you check out while snorkeling in Phi Phi Islands is a place that I would actually recommend you go at night. And that is because actually Phi Phi is one of the places in the world where you can swim with bioluminescent plankton. So bioluminescent plankton are actually tiny single-celled organisms called dinoflagellates. I apologize in advance if I butchered that name. And what happens is that with movement, they create this like light beams that are like blue or green with movement. So when you move in the water, you'll see this little tiny specks of blue or green light come up. And in Phi Phi, they're there. And the wonderful thing is that they're there for the most part of the year, so there's high chances that you can actually see this wonderful phenomenon. The place I went to see them was actually Monkey Bay. So essentially you have to wait until after sunset, and then what I did was I went down to Tonsai Beach and I asked the local boat taxis whether they could take me to see the bioluminescent plankton. I'm pretty sure it's not like the same spot every time, so ask around, the locals will know. But they took me up to Monkey Bay on a long-tail boat. We got to Monkey Bay, and then because it was a full moon night, we couldn't see a lot. The plankton actually shy away from the light, so again, if there's a lot of boats, you won't see much. If there's a lot of light, you won't see much, so you need to go out into remote areas of the island to find them. And because of the full moon night, when we went to Monkey Bay, they were actually all kind of huddled within a cave, which made it a bit scary because I got there and they were like, here's a plankton, and I was like, I don't see anything. And I even put my hand down in the water and kind of like shuffled the water a little bit, and I couldn't see anything, so I was like, what's going on? And they're like, do you want to swim with it? And I was like, okay. So hopped out of the boat, and I still couldn't see anything. And then they're like, oh, go swim into that cave. And mind you, this is like pitch black in the middle of the night. And I was like, is this how I die? May it all be for the bioluminescent plankton. I decided to swim into that cave, and as soon as I was out of the moonlight and I started moving my arms, I could just see this literally starry sky like appear around me. It was like being immersed in a Van Gogh painting because I mean, obviously you've got your snorkel and mask on, so everything's like pitch black, and as you swing your arms around, these little dots come up, and because you're swinging your arms around, they go around in little spirals. It was just beautiful, a once in a lifetime experience that I wish everybody to have. Now be mindful, like don't be a douchebag and don't like move very quickly, because that will actually harm the plankton. Just swim nicely and slowly and you'll still be able to see it without harming it. Highly recommend you to do this. Unfortunately, because they shy away from the light, I wasn't able to take any footage of this experience, so you'll just have to take my word for it and go check it out yourselves. Now, two sites that are worth mentioning that I didn't include in the list of top 5 because I didn't have the fortune of visiting are Hang Klang and Bamboo Island. So if you have had a chance to go look at these places, maybe comment below what you thought and what your recs and suggestions would be for people who visit the sites. Now, before we wrap up, I'd also thought that I would include some practical information about how the hell do you get to Phi Phi in the first place. So to get to Phi Phi, you essentially need to arrive to Phuket or to Krabi and then take a speedboat from there to the island. It's not far away. From Phuket, it's about an hour commute to Phi Phi, so it's quite accessible. And a lot of boats actually do like day trips to Phi Phi Islands, but given all that the place has to offer, I would recommend staying at least 1 or 2 nights. Once you're there, you have 2 options for accommodation. You can either stay close to Tonsai village, which is where all the action happens. So Tonsai village is actually great for accessibility. Most of the tour operators will be here, most of the restaurants, most of the transport, and everything is cheaper. So if you want to be smack down in the center of the action, Tonsai village is a great place to stay. That being said, it's very busy. And sadly, as I mentioned with Maya Beach, it's a bit affected by over-tourism. So it's got this big spring breaky party vibe going for it, which is not great. So if you want to avoid the crowds and have more of a secluded, peaceful space, then I would suggest that you stay on the side of Phi Phi village at the northeast side of the island. You have several, at least 5 resorts down off that way, which are more secluded, and you get the peaceful island life that we often associate with these destinations. The downside to that, of course, is there's very few operators and you're quite isolated. So if you want to get anywhere from here, you do have to take a taxi boat, and they're not cheap. Usually we're talking about between 1,000 to 2,000 baht one way, which is about 2,000 baht is like around 60 USD. So it is expensive to get around. So it's a bit of a trade-off. You either get peaceful and secluded but isolated, or crowded and busy but cheap and accessible. Take your pick. And as I mentioned, for snorkeling, a lot of these places you can actually get to just by walking in the island and going on your own, so you don't need to hire a tour. Some of them, like the ones in Phi Phi Ley, you will have to hire a tour, but there's plenty of options available, so you'll have no trouble getting there whatsoever. And while you're at Phi Phi, why not consider trying scuba diving as well? I honestly lost count of the amount of tour operators that were just in Tonsai village. I counted at least 10, and all of them with quite good reviews and seem to be quite reputable. I sadly missed out on this experience this time around because it was a very busy time of the year, but if you do get a chance to go scuba diving while in Phi Phi, you'll get to see all the wildlife that I already talked about, plus turtles, schools of barracuda, and potentially leopard or whale sharks. So how exciting is that? And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you found it useful. Let me know if you have other places that you'd recommend people check out if you've been to Phi Phi. And if you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out the other ones that I have in this series. I have one on diving sinkholes in Mexico as well, or snorkeling and scuba diving in Melbourne, which is probably not known as a premier diving destination, but honestly, I kind of feel like it should be. Alright, thanks everyone, hope you enjoyed it, and see you at the next one!